All right. It's a pleasure to meet you here in the first time of the year. So this
Yeah.
bi-weekly meeting. So maybe since Bertrand you are leaving in 30 minutes, would you mind just introduce yourself and how you think Kepler can work with Sentry to get more power sources and what of your mind can participate in the development cycle? Thank you.
Yes. Yes, totally. Okay, so I'm Bertrand. Hi. So sorry for the weird background. Um, so yeah, no, okay, no, I'm good. Okay, so I'm the CEO of Century Software. Century Software, we've been developing hardware monitoring software agents for years now. Actually, we were working, with traditional software, like, with a traditional license, you pay for it, etc. It was distributed through BMC, who is, specialized in monitoring, etc. It's a very classical old style software. And recently, we've moved from this classic model, to a new model where we embraced open telemetry. Where we redeveloped our hardware Sentry product, it's named Hardware Sentry, to collect hardware metrics from any vendor, HP, Cisco, IBM, Lenovo, Huawei, Pure EMC, Dell, whatever, using different protocols. We adapt to, because all these different vendors, they use different protocols. You probably know IPMI, but sometimes it's WMI, sometimes it's WebM, sometimes it's SNMP. Everybody has different MIBs. Nothing is standard. Now we have REST APIs. We used to have Smash and can't remember the other one, Redfish, etc. Tons of standard, and every vendor does its own thing when it comes to hardware instrumentation. So our job is simply to build a kind of connector for every single model, for every of server from every single vendor, and standardize their hardware metrics, like temperature, the status of the disks, the network counts, the fan speed, the voltages, and the power consumption. And you probably know that sometimes vendors do not expose the power consumed by a system. So in that case, we do have a sort of intelligent algorithm to estimate, to calculate the power consumed by the system based on its characteristics, like what kind of disk, what kind of processors, what kind of the speed of the fan, etc. I'm not going to run into too much details here. I can discuss that later if you're interested. So this hardware monitoring thing collects from every vendor, every type of system, and then exposes these metrics using open telemetry. You guys are familiar with open telemetry. So we expose that through open telemetry, which can then be exported to Prometheus, but also Datadog, New Relic, Dynatrace, etc. But open telemetry first. Using the semantic conventions that we've defined with OpenTelemetry for hardware metrics. So that means that now we're exposing an HW host power metric in watts for every system, or energy in joules for energy counter for in joules for every system that we monitor. And so we do that for physical hosts, obviously, and we're trying to push that a bit deeper into virtual machines, checking the configuration of the hypervisor. I think, okay, based on this configuration, all these VMs must be consuming this much, but this is abstract, right? And now I'm like, I looked into what you guys did. I'm like, wow, but this is exactly what we need. I mean, the logical way, we're not doing that. It's not our job. We're not Kubernetes experts, etc. But we're like, okay, an application that is developed and that is deployed on Kubernetes. How do you estimate its, the energy that it consumes each day? or per user, per transaction, etc. Well, you need to know everything that it is to known on the Kubernetes cluster. And then you need the physical metrics. And we're like, okay, we do have that. You guys have all the rest, which is very complicated. I looked a bit into it. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And I saw that you have a little box in your diagram saying, okay, hardware metrics. I'm like, okay, that's where we would fit some of our metrics. So hardware Sentry, by the way, there's a free version. I mean, the software is free. It's not open source yet because it's complicated. We come from classical traditional software with a lot of different licenses that we need to deal with. Eventually it will, but for now it is not. But we really want to open up so that everybody can contribute to that. And actually, if you want to see the software in action, you can go to hws-demo.sentrysoftware.com. I can put that in the chat. Where is that? Okay. Sorry. Oh, this is a Grafana dashboard showing a site being monitored with hardware Sentry. So it's Grafana connected to a Prometheus database, and then hardware Sentry pushing metrics to Prometheus. So, and yeah, the idea is that we have metrics like HW, host, power, watts, HW, host, energy, Joule, counter, in Prometheus typically, that you guys could can leverage into leverage in your model. So yeah, and so this dashboard then can show typically this is representing a site, so which is a data center, right? Where we have temperature and stuff, the details of every system that is monitored here. But if you scroll up, you can see that yeah, we have the energy usage, but also the price of running that site, and then the CO2 emissions daily, monthly, and yearly. And it would be beautiful if we could do that for an application deployed on Kubernetes. So because we simply use the power consumed by each host, we aggregate that for one site, and then we multiply by the PUE, then we multiply that by the CO2 density of the electricity provider, and then, well, you get the carbon footprint of that, group. So here, since we're just specialized in the physical aspect of it, we do that for a data center or for a server, or storage system, or a network device, but also for sites and for the overall aggregation for an entire organization. But then we could do the same for an application. I mean, you could, you guys could, take you could leverage, or reuse some of the things that we did in our own dashboards. You can copy and paste, no problem with that.
Yeah, I think this is great. So we do have a certain hardware-related energy sources questions, like how we are going to estimate the energy on hard drives and SSDs, and certain accelerators. That is something we have not got a chance to look into. So if you have already implemented a set of these agents, so especially if you already have this telemetry, you can probably just use your telemetries in certain ways. So we just, if you estimate the energy spent on storage devices, we probably can just use your telemetry data, and then we can just incorporate that into our model.
Yes, totally. So we do have, as I said, there are different ways of getting the electricity consumed by a system. Sometimes it is able to do that, to provide that information, but sometimes it is not. So
Right.
That case, yeah, it's a bit tricky. And we don't want to rely on physical, smart PDUs and stuff like that, because then it's complicated. You have to remember, oh yeah, it's plugged, 11 and 12 from rack 41 in data center B. That is actually these physical hosts running ESX, and then no, it's a nightmare.
So do you have to install the agents on all the Kubernetes nodes?
No, actually, so yeah, okay, let me grab the architecture diagram somewhere. Actually, you would have that here. That's the chat. Yeah, so this is essentially it's a product page in the documentation. There must be a diagram right there. Sorry, I should have provided that link. So you install it once. Typically we recommend in one site, one data center with one electricity provider actually, and then this agent, you configure it to extract hardware information from many physical systems. So you can just provide a bunch of host names and credentials, and that's it. Yeah, just diagram in the second link. Yeah, that diagram. So basically you have that agent in the middle, and then you configure it to monitor the systems on the right, different protocols, etc. And then you configure it to push the metrics to whatever you want. So by default, it's OpenTelemetry, but then you can configure. I mean, it's bundled with the OpenTelemetry collector, the contrib version, that you can configure to push to anything you want.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, thank you, Prashant, for your introduction. So maybe in the next project planning, we can think about how to incorporate external telemetries and using
definitely.
that for our hardware. For hardware, so we have no ideas about.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we'd be happy to help. What you guys are trying to do is something that we're being asked regularly from customers or from analysts like Gartner. I was talking to a Gartner analyst yesterday. Not yesterday, it was last week, sorry. And yeah, they were like, yeah, it's great, physical stuff, blah, 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 etc. How about applications, etc. I said, I'm talking to the Kepler guys on Tuesday.
There we go. Yeah, I believe so. We have a lot of collaborations ahead of us. So we are focused on the software side and application side, and you have the deep knowledge on the hardware. That will be a great combination. We can help the end customers.
Yeah, totally. And I like the idea that you guys are able to expose, the electricity, usage of, an application, the logical part, and then you just have to multiply that by carbon density and PUE, and get the carbon footprint of using that application. Divide that by the number of users and transactions, whatever the end user wants to do, and it's a great metric to show. And it's if we want to encourage organizations to actually reduce their carbon footprint, it's the very first step. Measure, then set targets, and then measure again. So
totally, yeah, I completely agree. So the other question is, would any of your engineering team be able to join our development if you are going to integrate the telemetry you have? Is that something that you
definitely.
will?
Yeah, that would be ideal. That would be ideal. You're writing everything is the main. Main language is Go. Yeah, right. Currently, we don't have much Go engineers, developers though, because we do a lot in Java, but we have a couple of people.
Go is actually very similar to Java if you think about it. I think it's more like between Python and Java. So
right. But you have some phrases like, that's the way it was. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's good that you guys use Go, but because then I'm like, okay, if you plan at some point on leveraging app and telemetry, it makes things much easier because it's app and telemetry is natively written in Go, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction.
Thank
And
you.
I think we have a lot of to do in the coming weeks and months. I will pin you on GitHub, and we also have Slack channel. So if you can join our Slack, that will be more like real time. We can communicate.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, definitely.
All right. All right. So coming up next, we'll have the agenda for reviews for what we have done for the last release, and we also want to have a brainstorming session for this release, 0.5. This is going to be the January all the way to May this time, because if you are in the US, chances the May is the season that you're going to take a break for the summer. So it makes a very little sense to continue the rest of the planning in the summer. So I would rather just have a cut points at May, and then for the summer, we're going to plan something else even longer. So for 0.4 release, we have achieved certain milestones. The biggest milestone is that we have the first end-to-end developments, deployments, and the verification process for each of the feature projects to work together. So the support for power model integration, the Kepler model server estimator has been in place. So we have the first integration ready, and this is fully documented. So I really want to appreciate everybody's hard work until the end of the last year. This is a great milestone. For the testing, we have the GitHub Actions and the pipelines that will give us the ability to run all the unit tests, integration tests for each of the PRs. That gives us a quality assurance. As you see, we already have the Golang coverage up to 50%, 52% at the moment. It's not perfect, but we are over there. We are coming to the end, and hopefully. And for the documentation, we have the websites, have all the installation process, the architecture, the introduction, as well as the troubleshooting instructions. So this is the first step. And in 0.5, we want to continue this path. So we want to focus on features, deployments, tests, and documentation. Do you have any feedbacks? Any ideas we want to continue, or 4.5? Any major milestones you are considering for the next release? So this is the first meeting of the year. So I just want to share my thoughts first, and then if you have further inputs on what we should do and what we should support and who we should get into the projects, please just share on the HackMD doc, so we can just revisit this in 2 weeks. So for the feature for 0.5, 3 things top of my mind in the agenda is that one is that we want to support more ecosystems, so ARM supports, and hopefully we can also have power supports, power system supports. And so that is the first thing. The second thing is more runtime environments. So currently Kepler relies on Kubernetes. So this is one of our first opportunity that we can explore beyond just Kubernetes. People can also consider standalone systems. For example, just running Linux. And people also want to know what's their power consumptions by process, by containers. May not necessarily running Kubernetes in that space. So this is one of the things we can also consider, how to decouple the runtime environments with the Kepler core functions. So basically the attribution by process, by virtual machines, by containers, that is the propagations we want to consider. The third one is the power attribution accuracy. So at the moment, we only consider the main process, the energy consumption from the main process. So if you are running a process and containers, that's using storage and the network interrupts. The energy consumed in the interrupts actually attributed into the system process. That is not accurate. So we want to get into more details of what the processes are doing, not just a main process. We also account for the network and the storage interrupts and attributes the energy used in the interrupts back to the main process. So that's the accuracy we also want to account for. So I have a work in progress PRs. So hopefully everybody can look at it, look at this issue, and share your ideas, and we can continue that PR. So that's the 3 things on top of my agenda. So Pan is here. So I also want Pan to help us to understand more about the power modeling and how can we get more models into the deployment. So we support 2 architecture at the moment, Intel Cascade and Skylake, because that's the 2 of the platforms we used in our testing environment. We do not have environments on AMD systems, for example, and we do not have environments running latest Ice Lake Intel architecture yet. So if we can have the community inputs on these platforms, that will be great. Pan, do you have any ideas on what we can do for this release? Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to document. Oh, but all right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, actually, I'm trying to document that how I format the model so that like you can create your models. First, maybe start from the offline, and then upload the model to the some locations with the format that I already documented. With the metadata, and then just link that in the same way that we did with the pod model, but do that with the node model, and use their system features, including their CPU architectures as well for modeling the power. So
okay,
that should be fine. Yeah, but first we have to create the model first and upload it in the format.
Okay.
I think our Kai is working on the power modeling for the node, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I see.
Yeah, the PR will be today.
Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions or if it's not working, yeah, just reach out to me so that I could help.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Huamin. Generally, I have 2 questions related with our today's meeting. Okay, so if we have a project for 0.4 release and on GitHub, so each item is worthless is there. But for today's meeting, 0.5 planning, do we have the project there anywhere?
Yes, because the project spot is still it's the same thing, same project release board. So basically, I renamed the project spot and from 0.4 to Kepler release planning. So if you have any items you want to add into the project, to the project, you just add it, and we just label it as a 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, and so on.
Yeah. So this first thing, and secondly, as you just mentioned, there is some top priority in your head. So are those things been created in this project board, or if not,
yes.
Could you please
so
list the document?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I have listed certain points. One is the platform support. I specifically just list ARM. So if you have this system, please add it to it. And also the environment, supporting more environments. I have not created the task yet. I have to finalize what we should do to more fine granularity items. So you're definitely right. I will do it offline and add to the board. So maybe in the meeting, the next 2 meetings, I know, and next meeting is going to be a holiday break for you. So maybe in the next 2 meetings, we can the community can finalize on what we should do for 0.5.
Yeah, I agree. So as brainstorming from my side, there's some update here. So during Christmas and the New Year holiday, I tried with GitHub Action and the testing for our GitHub Action, which specific for Kepler and the Kepler related project testing itself, testing scope within its repo is successed, but just tried about 1 hour before to integrate our customer GitHub Action with Kepler itself, it failed. I suppose I need some more time to bring our customer GitHub Action to us to make it alive. So and during this time, by this chance, I'm going to introduce our customer GitHub Action. As well known that GitHub Action agent provided by GitHub is a Linux system and probably it's running in a VM, right? So when to prepare an environment for Kepler, we possibly need the BCC and the Kubernetes, which we currently use for as kind, right? Being installed and set up. So this GitHub Actions so far just help us install BCC and BCC library and build up a canned cluster there. So which means operator and Helm chart, etc. We can use this GitHub action to set up Kubernetes environment for integration tests quickly. And if anyone have or has any feature request, please raise the issue in GitHub, and let's maintain our GitHub action for CI together. So this is one of the testing. And another thing related with testing, so somehow I want to continue improve our test coverage, because so far we have some function without any value return, and our testing just covers those functions and no panic there. Hence I want, personally, I hope we can increase the test coverage and during the time refactor our code for something as performance issue related research, or say the build up the benchmark testing. So this is the second thing. For feature, okay. I want to suggest, point out one feature or just as brainstorming, okay? Somehow our Kepler runs as a website, right? Because we export metrics there. So are we considering to, moving our Kepler to MVC model, the classical MVC model in the website development. Consider we at the maybe whale model or say the top level, we are going to have OTel and Prometheus together. So to better support different metrics output and at the data collection level, supporting different architecture, or CPU architecture, or for example, just some environmental running without Kubernetes case, etc. Maybe it's time we should consider this kind of question during 0.5 planning. Another alternative for this is that we refactor our code based on the requirement. Other thing is fine for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. So if you have further actions, just add to the project export. So we're going to vote on the project on the card next time, and we will have further actions on those items.
Sure.
And Peng Hui, since you are here, do you have any ideas what you think should be done for the next release?
Yeah, first for the Helm chart, currently we already integrate it for the Kepler itself, but for the Prometheus and Grafana, I think I need some time to make further investigation. Yeah.
Okay.
And also for the Git action, some ask, is there any person who want to work with him? I can work with him and to have the Git action to be applied to our applicable repo. The next thing I think currently I do see for some testing we have some more data which cannot be generated with the actual number. So I would like to take some time to investigate the reason and to have the more funding and to follow up.
Thank you. That is good information. And Peru.
Hello. Yes. Hi.
Hi. So I understand the operator is still undergoing. Do you have any further updates and any thinkings about what we can do for 0.5?
Yes. So for the operator right now, we do have it working for a Kubernetes, and we are testing it for OpenShift. For 0.5, right now, what we did is we don't have. Sorry, my chat is just blowing. Yeah. We don't have support for the model server. What we were using just the offline with the local estimator. So, but we already have coded it. We don't have tested it. So 0.5, we want to do that testing and include that end-to-end functionality into the operator as well.
That's great. Thank you. Kayi, do you have any follow-up on the operator or just model server?
For the operator, I just want to add also a PR has also been made for the bundle, so we can deploy it on Operator Hub. So that's going to also be for version 0.5.
I was facing a technical problem while testing it yesterday. Should I ask that question on the Slack channel? So what's happening is because Kepler operator creates cluster roles and cluster role binding for the Kepler service account. The operator manager role needs cluster privileges, and I was just wondering, is that okay for an operator to have cluster admin privileges?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have no idea.
Okay. Anybody who has worked on operator, I mean, it's not like I don't want to give it, but it just didn't felt very safe for me to do it before confirming. Like, does operator normally have cluster admin privileges? Is that okay?
I don't think this is a bad idea. Just try it. If that's the issue, that's we can definitely disable it.
Okay, so yeah, because even Prometheus, I see they do add escalated privileges to Prometheus. So that's okay. Yeah, that was just that's just a FYI. The operator does need cluster scope cluster admin privileges.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, so I suppose from the security part of consideration, the probability should be at least as or same minimals as possible. But somehow if we have to running with admin probability today, maybe we can just go through and leaving it as an issue there to complete our first version. You know, for example, the probability leak, the leak of probability somehow case issue. But if it's hard for us to investigation with a result in short, so we'd better have a version first, and maybe we don't have the release just as a alpha version or beta version, and we try to figure out which part of code needs that probability and try to make it as least as possible. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Right. So I just want to take 15 minutes on the promotion of the Kepler project. So one of the easiest way to promote is to give presentations in conferences and communities. So we know we are planning for lots of conference talks this year. So the deadlines are coming for Red Hat Summits, Open Source Summits, North America, and the KubeCon. So that's all good. And also because we are at different time zones, and also I want to have a CNCF sustainability tag presentation. So would it be possible that each one of us, or at least each of the components, will have a recording? So for example, the model server have a 5 minutes recording, and the operator well, operator itself could have 5 minutes recording, and then we put all the recordings together so we can give a presentation to the CNCF sustainability tag. So that's something people can do as their spare time. It's not like there's a hard deadline for the tag presentation. So my thinking is in February or in March, I have to work with the tag chair first. We have to reserve like 30 minutes or 15 minutes time slots, and then based on the length of the time slots, we will put together the recordings, and then we give the presentations as the tag. Would that something we can do together?
Yes, I can make a video.
Okay, so maybe 5 minutes video on operator and documentation, and then maybe you can give a 5 minutes recording on the model server and the training process. And then Sam and Peng Hui, maybe you can also give 5 minutes on the GitHub actions that you are planning on. And we can also give 5 minutes on the overall architecture. So that's probably going to be 15 to 20 minutes time slots we're going to ask for from the tech community meeting.
Sorry for interrupting. I mean, I just want to confirm one thing. Okay, so if I am in good memory, the CNCF submission PRs, or say the issue scope, don't have our internal GitHub action.
No, it doesn't have. No, on the CNCF side. So if you look at the Kepler submission, we donate everything we have on the GitHub. But the GitHub package is not included over there.
Yeah. So
do you
know?
Actually, we should actually include it.
Okay. So if we should include it. Okay, it's fine. So just please update the issue, and I'm going to prepare the demo with Peng Hui later.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. So let me update the issues. Okay.
Do we know when the next meeting is where the sandbox applications will be discussed?
I think they are doing it offline at the moment. Probably that's going to be meetings for CNCF TLC. So if you look at how they respond to the issues, the Dims and Kathy, they just comment on the PR, comment on the issue. And that seems like to be the new process to resolve the sandbox application. And previously, they have the TLC meetings every month to review the application. They probably have to do this offline now.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we can, this is the idea, so prepare offline recording. Okay.
Is there any template or some it's my first time to do the kind of CNCF review. So is there anything I can reference with?
Oh, so this is not for the review. It's just purely for the sustainability tag community. So it's just give information to the community. So the community understands what we have done for the Kepler projects. But there's no CNCF. This is not for the CNCF the technical community. It's just for the sustainability tag. So you can create your own templates, PowerPoint templates, and use your time slots wisely, so you can give as much information as possible.
Okay.
So the, my plan is for the presentation will be planned for February or March. So depending on the tag agenda as well. So we ask for the 15 to 20 minutes time slot for the presentation. Yeah, that's all from me. So any further feedbacks, ideas we can hear?
Huaming, I just have two questions. One is, do we still need the root access to the workers to deploy Kepler?
That looks the case. Let me just write down the issues.
So that will kind of stop us from deploying Keplers on all the managed clusters. And I mean, most of us are using managed clusters from cloud providers now, so that's still an issue. And the other one is, I don't know if we have some plans on the GPU support and what's the version of our GPU model. And yeah, I don't know if it's widely support for all types of GPUs, or it's just a particular, we just test the model on a particular GPU. And that might be important for those popular workload.
Okay, I think we support yeah, that's definitely a good question. We support NVIDIA, but we do not know which versions we support, which hardware specs we support.
So that's still highly rely on the NVIDIA library we were using? Okay. Yeah. Does that support sharing of GPUs, or is assuming the container is taking all the GPU?
Yeah, we support sharing GPUs. I think, I don't know. We have to double check.
Okay, okay, yeah. And there's different ways of sharing GPUs, and then that will probably lead to different models.
Okay, definitely. So we have to double check all these support metrics.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you for the issues. All right. Yeah, that's all for me. And so hopefully this year we are going to have a good startup on the projects and have more communities involvement here. I do Red Hat internally has a lot of interest on the projects, and we also promote the projects both internally and externally. And we also planning a lot of conference talks this year. So let's see if we can get this good momentum going on for the rest of the year. Right, if there's no more issues, then we can call this the day. Thank you for your time, and we'll miss each other in 2 weeks. And for those who cannot come next time, happy holidays.
Thank you. Hope we can join.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.